Hey, welcome back. So, I had the idea, I think this is what I'm going to do with the Hinge girl. I'm going to mix what the therapist said and kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to do a voice memo, but I'm going to ask her, like, what she likes to do. And I'm going to do it in my way. I'm not just going to be boring about it. I can't. It feels wrong to just be like, hey, what do you like to do? No, you talk. I gotta be more than that. I mean, I gotta put some effort into this. I'm trying to meet somebody, like, for reals. And I wanna put some effort into it. So I'm gonna record a voice memo. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I guess it's gonna be like, okay, I'm a little bit, it's funny because I'm a little bit embarrassed to say what I want to say, but I'm also, like, I don't want to say, okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, first thing I'm going to say, I don't know how long you can make the message, but I'm going to say, I'm new to Hinge, and, like, this voice memo thing is cool, so I'm going to try it. I want to try it. You seem like a cool, interesting person. Like, I want to know more about your hobbies. Like, what do you like to do? And maybe we can try to do it sometime or something like that. And I could even say, like, oh, I've been trying to do new things, but, like, most of the time I like to be, like, an indoor kid, or I kind of do indoor stuff, but, like, I've been trying to go ice skating or go out and do stuff. I'm going to try to say that. Do you think she liked the Game of Thrones thing? She laughed. She said ha ha ha, but you wouldn't say that if you didn't really laugh, would you? You wouldn't lie to me about laughing in text. Because I said the Game of Thrones thing, and the therapist was like, you shouldn't have said that. But I was like, look, she laughed at it. That made me happy. That she said ha ha ha. And she said it like 4 times, like ha 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 ha. I'm like, she really wants me to know that she laughed. If she thought it was dumb, she would have just said ha ha. But she said it 4 times. I don't know. Yeah, the thing that was kind of frustrating was I told the therapist, like, well, I didn't ask her a question, but I figured if she wanted to talk to me, she would keep talking, even though, like, I'm not directly asking a question every time I comment. But she's like, no, you should ask a question every time. But I'm like, she never asked me a question, and I'm talking to her. Like, because I want to talk to her. So if she wanted to talk to me, shouldn't she be doing the same thing? He's like, no, I don't know. I'm going to talk about inflation today. You guys sick of inflation yet? I talked about the Fed before, but this is a little bit different. Because Jon Stewart was talking about inflation again, and I really like his podcast, so... what he was saying, so I was correct what I was saying before about the fact that the reason why there's inflation is because there's a demand pull. Demand is higher, and supply can't meet the demand, so it increases prices. But what this guest on Jon Stewart's show was saying is, companies' profit margins are actually higher than they were before. So they're increasing prices more than they need to. Because you would expect their profit margins to stay the same, right? Their profits would go up because their prices are up, but their margins would stay the same because their costs are going up. But she's saying like they're making record profits and they're kind of bragging about it in their investor meetings because the investor meetings are public and they have to be truthful, otherwise they could be sued by like the SEC or something. And I kind of don't understand. I think their argument is that like the big companies like Tyson Chicken is my stupid sink is basically functioning like a cartel almost. Like there's 4, or like an oligopoly. There's like 4 chicken companies in the world. Because you'd think like, oh, if one chicken company is increasing their prices too high, then the other chicken company would just lower their prices a little bit and they take all the business, right? Like if they can afford it, why wouldn't they lower their prices? They get so much more business. So the argument that like there must be something else going on there, in my mind. And I guess their argument is that like they're seeing that they can get away with it, all of them, and they're like they have this kind of agreement that they're not telling each other because that's illegal. They can't price fix because that's literally a cartel. But they can kind of just like look at the market and be like, okay, prices are going up, let's increase our prices a little bit more and see what we can get away with. And they're kind of all doing this at the same time. So they're kind of functionally the argument is that I guess that they're functionally existing as a cartel, like an oligopoly. I don't, but I don't see the evidence for that other than the fact that their profit margins are higher and they shouldn't be. That's good evidence, but it feels like we might be missing something. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I have no idea what's going on. Like there must be some other factor that's increasing profit margins that we're not seeing. And nobody really asked that question on the show, which I was like, why didn't they ask that question? Like, the way markets are supposed to work is like if your competitors' prices are way too high, you lower your prices and take all their business. So your margins are going to go up, but their margins would go down. But for everybody's margins to go up, how is that possible? It means that they're all raising their prices. It doesn't make sense. If they're all raising their prices, then one company would lower their prices and take all the business. But somehow they have some kind of a understanding that like, and that's why oligopolies and monopolies aren't allowed to exist. Because if you tell your competitor, hey, let's agree to increase prices way up and let's not compete with each other, then you can get away with really high prices because nobody's going to compete with you and bring in lower prices. I don't know. This is stupid because this is just economics 101, but I don't understand what's happening. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't understand how everybody's profits are going up and nobody's colluding with each other on price fixing. They just all understand that they can get away with it, and I don't know. That kind of breaks capitalism, if that's possible. For monopolies and oligopolies to exist without any kind of communication. I don't understand how that works. So, I don't know. If you know, let me know, because I don't know. But inflation is interesting. And it is bad because wages aren't going up that much. Wages for lower and middle class people don't go up. So you're losing money just by existing. Your money is decreasing. It's just evaporating. 7% every year is crazy. They're going to try to get it down to 2%, I think, by, I don't know, 2 years from now or something. And I think that they will do that because the Fed will increase interest rates and they will stop their crazy buying spree. This level's hard. I was thinking maybe I wasn't gonna finish this today, but I mean I was gonna finish too soon, but maybe not. Maybe not, because there's still one more thing to do. Oh, we're gonna do it. Gonna do it. I'm just thinking about that dating thing again, because it's funny that the therapist telling me like not to overthink it and to just ask her the question of just like, hey, what do you like to do? It's actually making me overthink it more because I had already thought of what I was going to do. So now I have to overthink it again and think like, okay, is that really what I want to do? So it actually, but overthinking is good. Yes. I think it's good. Oh, that's it for today? I talked about inflation the whole day. Oh, here's a note that's related to inflation. Here's a fun little economics analogy for you. I'm almost 30. This isn't totally true, of course. I'm just being hyperbolic like always, to make like a fun analogy. But I do feel like my 20s was kind of like, in Japan they have this idea called the lost decade, which was they had a crazy recession at the end of the 1980s because of an asset bubble, which like cratered the stock market, like worse than anything we've ever seen in like since the Great Depression probably. In the 1980s, Japan was like crazy, and everybody was giving them all this money because they're like, "Oh, Japan's the next big thing," and Toshiba and all this stuff. And for whatever reason, why any asset bubble bursts, it burst, and it tanked, and it hasn't even. They call it the lost decade because it was like the 90s. But actually, the stock market still hasn't reached up the peak since the 1988 bubble burst or whatever. So I call my 20s like a lost decade because that's kind of how I feel. Like the bubble burst in my 20s, and I'm still trying to get back to a real person. I'll show you the chart of the, what's it called, Nikkei 50 or something. Nikkei 500. It was at 35,000 or something, and then it dropped to like 4,000, and now it's back up to like 30,000, but it took 30 years to get there. So that's why I don't know, sometimes when people say like, oh, the stock market always goes up. Well, not in Japan. Like, if you invested in 1980, you still wouldn't have made your money back. Even the max. So on Google, the max only goes back to 1991, and that wasn't even the peak. So you have to go to like Yahoo or something. because then we can go all the way back to here. Okay, I mean, you can do this yourself, but the peak was 1989. I want to see, how do I get to 1989? Come on. Whatever. I just want to see what it was. Let me do it. 32,000? Is that right? Oh, 38,000. Basically 39,000. I don't know if you can see. Well, it's green, so it might green screen it, but. So in 1989, it was at 39,000. Ridiculous. It just. People were going crazy. Then it cratered down to 15,000 in 92. Then it dropped to 8,000 in 03. Then it dropped all the way to 8,000 in 2012, and then since 2012 it's been going up, and right now it's at 27,000, so it's still not even close to being back. It's going to take another 10 years to get up to 38,000 if we don't have another recession or something. 39,000. It might not get up to 39,000 for like another 20 years. So it would be like 40 years. If you invested all your money at that point, it would take 40 years just to break even. That would be funny. Like you see it, oh my god, it's at 39,000. It's going to keep going forever. Put all my money in it before it keeps going up. And then it just, you lose everything. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.